What is going on, everyone? I'm the Yu-Gi-Oh! Scrub, but you can call me Bailey, and we're going to be doing something a little bit different than my typical videos today. It's still going to be me talking, but it's actually just going to be solo mode because I just need to have something in the background for you guys to watch if you choose to watch. But it's going to be more of a listening video, continuing my thoughts from yesterday that as I was playing, I felt like I started going in circles and wasn't really able to put my thoughts together. So I actually typed out a bit more of a script, I guess you could say, but just my thoughts put to paper about why I think Yu-Gi-Oh! Needs alternative formats or retro formats and why they're the best thing for Yu-Gi-Oh! And for Konami to do. The idea behind this video, one, to talk about, but also to kind of bring a discussion. I think that the fans of Yu-Gi-Oh! We're here, obviously. You know, we all love this game and we want it to thrive and survive, but clearly things have been going the wrong way. I mean, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is dying has been a meme for so long, but I think that with enough of our brain power, and I don't want to say hate, because I'm not a big believer that just hating on Konami is going to make anything really happen, but frankly, I'd say the opposite, in love. And if we say we love this game and we want it to survive, we want it to be better, then maybe we can start making some changes and actually get people to listen to us. But we can only do that through our community. It's not going to happen because I make a video. It's not going to happen because any one person makes a video. But if enough people start pooling their minds together, coming up with ideas, and just showing support for Konami and for the game that we love, then maybe something can happen. But with that little intro said, without further ado, if you want to watch, you can enjoy me playing this Library FDK deck in solo mode, but you can just listen to the video. Thank you. Konami has a Yu-Gi-Oh! Problem. The fan base right now is at best divided and at worst very angry. We have been seeing players quitting ever since Pendulums, and maybe even before that, and more so now. And there's a myriad of reasons for this. Professional players are quitting, partly because of poor prizing, something Yu-Gi-Oh! Has never been able to get right, but also just a saturation in the card game market, not to mention a saturation in the attention market. There's just so much fighting for our attention that if Yu-Gi-Oh! Wants to maintain its place in the culture, but especially among the big three TCGs, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Pokemon, and Magic the Gathering, then solving some of these problems is paramount. First and foremost, I think it's important to recognize where Konami has done things well, and hear me out, Duel Links. Duel Links was ahead of its time. By simplifying the card game to a structure suitable for mobile gaming, at the time of release, it was unheard of, but since then, other companies have recognized that new era of mobile gaming and the popularity that can come with it, and have created or adapted their own simple trading card games. And the two major ones we're going to discuss and compare Yu-Gi-Oh! To are Marvel Snap and Pokemon TCG Pocket. Being the first to market should have given Konami a major advantage, however they continue to fall short at understanding the major issues that plague Yu-Gi-Oh! And allow Duel Links to be pushed to the sides by games that simply do it better. By discussing the differences in strategies and companies between Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh! And Marvel, we might be able to gain a framework and understand how Konami could attempt to turn things around in the future. There's many flaws with Duel Links, frankly, but really, they're more flaws with the brand of Yu-Gi-Oh! And the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! But viewing all these problems and comparing through a lens of Duel Links to those other Pokemon, TCG Pocket, and Marvel Snap, I think is the best way to kind of go about this video. The first flaw that I see is marketability. Yu-Gi-Oh! Is beloved by many. You know, we all love the game. But if I use my own channel analytics as a baseline, it's mostly men between the ages of 18 and 40, but really 25 and 35. We don't have children the way Pokemon does. And this makes sense, though, because it puts all of us in that age range where we grew up watching the original animes from the original to 5Ds before they got really bad. And a slight aside, I have not watched, nor do I plan on watching any of the new animes. I just feel like they're more of a formality, a necessary evil, and just tradition. A new summoning mechanics getting released, they have to make a new anime to help promote that. But correct me if I'm wrong, I don't see or hear about young kids being inspired by these animes to go buy packs and put together decks. I mean, I used to buy packs even before I would really put together a deck and throw the cards around like Shuriken because Kaiba did that in the anime and I thought it was so cool. But even if a kid did do that, they open up the pack and the cards are so text heavy and so complex that it's a challenge to learn the game at any competitive level. Even just for a locals, it's insurmountable. But we'll get back to that complexity problem in a little bit. To go back to marketing, when we compare Yu-Gi-Oh! To Pokemon and Marvel, It's like watching a JV high school team go up against professionals. Pokemon has clearly won the war in terms of cultural impact, and one reason behind this, I believe, is the consistency of marketable characters. Pikachu has been there since the beginning, and 20 years later, even someone who doesn't know Pokemon could identify Pikachu. Maybe Charizard, some others, but Pikachu being the best example clearly. Yu-Gi-Oh, unlike Pokemon, doesn't have that same kind of recognition in the public. I've been playing my whole life, and if I showed my mom a photo of Dark Magician, maybe she'd be able to identify it as a Yu-Gi-Oh monster, but I don't think she'd be able to tell me who it is, and probably not even that it's from Yu-Gi-Oh. And maybe if they had continued to use Dark Magician and Blue Eyes and market those iconic monsters from the beginning till now, we would have been able to be somewhere. But instead, with each new anime, they built upon new boss monsters with the new characters. Jaden has his fusions and Neos, Yusei has Stardust Dragon, and they are iconic, but they're iconic to the dedicated fan base. Less people, if 8% of the population could identify Dark Magician, way less, I think, would be able to identify Stardust Dragon or Elemental Hero Neos. And that's not even to mention Utopia and Firewall Dragon, which I think were the iconic boss monsters, but that's how bad Konami's been at marketing. As a fan of Yu-Gi-Oh, I'm not even 100% sure those were the monsters. Every now and again, Konami will release a retrain or support for those iconic monsters, the Blue Eyes, the Red Eyes, Dark Magician, but it's too little too late. The cultural impact that they could have had they continued to mark those characters from the beginning is just a pipe dream. It's a reality that never happened, and although it's a problem I think important to point out, we can't do anything about it. I mean, maybe they could try to do some stuff in the future, but you can't change 20 years of history. Marvel is a slightly different story, as obviously it didn't start as a TCG. Of course, similar to Pokemon, no one could argue against the great cultural impact that Marvel has had. Its heroes have been around for way longer than any trading card game, and the MCU did wonders at boosting the popularity at the same time as Yu-Gi-Oh! Was losing its own. The kids of the new generations didn't grow up watching Yugi's Dark Magician fight Kaiba's Blue Eyes, but instead Iron Man, Hulk, Thor, Captain America, and others defeat Thanos in a decade-long saga. Rather than rehashing the failures of marketing that Konami's done, it's just, I'm going to go on because I think that we can use Marvel as more of an entryway into understanding other aspects of Yu-Gi-Oh! That Konami falls short in. Marvel Snap is incredibly easy to enter. Within minutes of downloading, players can put together a deck of iconic characters whose abilities are very simple to understand. A good deck builder can of course create a strategy that would be better than a child's, but someone of any age could be having fun within the game in no time. On the contrary, if a child downloads Duel Links, they might be able to put together a deck, but they'll be beaten down by players whose cards have so many effects that it becomes overwhelming. The IRL game suffers the same fate. If a child picks up a pack of Yu-Gi-Oh cards, they'll open it and see a wall of text that makes no sense. This really limits Yu-Gi-Oh's ability to grow over time. Without new players, the game is doomed to eventually fall to the wayside. I wish I could say marketability and ease of access were Yu-Gi-Oh's only problems, but unfortunately I have to continue criticizing the game I love before I can provide any ideas or solutions. Another problem I see with the trading card game, both IRL and online, whether it's Duel Links or Master Duel, is the ban list. Other trading card games give rotation or secondary formats alongside the main format, giving players a choice. Konami has gone down the path of a single ever-growing card pool with only one format that is sanctioned, and I know UTW's Ultimate Time Wizards, we'll get to that in a little bit. The fact that Konami just uses a ban list, though, to ban limit and semi-limit cards becomes a problem that leads to power creep. Whether it's Synchros, XYZs, and Pendulums and Links, the fact that to sell packs, the new cards always have to be more powerful than the old ones creates a system where players have to constantly be prepared for their deck to become obsolete and spend more money when new strategies release. Granted, spending money on packs isn't bad for Konami, it's what they do to make money, but players can only take so much of that before they've had enough. Like me, I don't play IRL anymore because I didn't want to keep buying new cards. Also, besides just being power creep and making people spend money, more powerful cards often come with more effects, meaning more text on the card, and even with problem-solving card text, understanding the new powerful cards is difficult even for adults. There's a reason Yu-Gi-Oh! Players not reading cards is a meme. Now, for the meat and potatoes of the video, the only way that I see Konami saving Yu-Gi-Oh! Is to embrace secondary formats, particularly retro formats. The best part of a retro format, in my opinion, is the limited card pool. By playing a format from the past, players are naturally limited to the cards released at that time. Not only does that simplify the game to a point where a new player could much easier be taught the basics, solving that ease of entry issue, it also reduces the cost, as you get a deck one time and that's it. You never have to worry about things getting banned. Konami could always just do what Pokemon does as well and continue to make money by releasing cards in different rarities, and if you want to bling it out, cool, you get the special shiny cards. If not, you just go in with commons and the cards do the exact same thing. Now, of course, you might already have left comments that saying Konami does support, in air quotes, retro formats with the Ultimate Time Wizard events. And of course, with the new event rules and erratas, all that stuff, the crazy announcement that they make, the support from the fan base is at an all-time low. Konami should learn from the RBETs. Players enjoy and want to play these old formats. However, I don't see the announcement of the rule changes as all bad. I think secondary formats could be a good idea. I believe there is still great potential if Konami sanctioned events similar to how they do Master Duel events. Some of the best times to play Master Duel is when events are taking place, such as when it's like common cards only, or the XYZ event, lower life points, like all those fun kind of, they almost feel like little side quests. Now, IRL events couldn't do exactly the same as Master Duel. You can't really be like common cards only, but if Konami did something saying for like the next 3 months, the Ultimate Time Wizard events will be Edison format using modern rules and erratas. We understand, and like this still Konami speaking, we understand that this changes the game, but we'd love to see our dedicated fans discover strategies given these restrictions, and after 3 months, the Ultimate Time Wizard events will be GOAT format with a twist or something. And then they provide a list of like cards that weren't legal in GOAT format but don't power creep too much. Like if they did fun things like that, then I think we could start to rebuild that trust among the community. Of course, people would continue to complain, and the fans still want to simply play their favorite formats. They could at unsanctioned events, but the idea of transparency and creativity, I believe, would work wonders for Konami. I think it would begin to rebuild the trust with the community, and over time allow for the community to grow. Now, I'm not saying this would solve all the problems. I'm not a wizard, I'm just a guy with ideas, but this is the game I love and I would like it to continue. If you hate my ideas, let me know what you'd like Konami to do, and simply have better prize pools for events, like that's a great idea. If you have some idea crazier than mine, let me know. I just want this video to hopefully begin a discussion amongst the community on how to save the game, and even if it's just within the community, our few brain cells each might be able to put together something and create a spark big enough that could reach Konami and let them know that we want to help.